Welcome to Neo Universus. Please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon for more updates. I'm sure you've heard the news. It began with a flicker, then a roar. In the stillness of night, a single spark can change everything. What started as a small, almost invisible flame quickly grew into something no one could have predicted. On a June night in 2025, downtown Los Angeles was engulfed in chaos. The city's heartbeat, usually pulsing with energy and life, was suddenly drowned out by the sounds of panic and destruction. Acrid smoke replaced the usual city scents as flames consumed Waymo self-driving taxis, their technology powerless against the fury of the crowd. The future, once gleaming and full of promise, was now burning in the streets. Sirens wailed, helicopters circled, and riot police faced off against waves of protesters. The air was thick with tension, every moment threatening to erupt into violence. This was no movie set, this was real, and the fear was palpable. People clung to each other, eyes wide, hearts pounding, as the city they knew was transformed before their eyes. Residents watched from their windows as their city became a battleground, familiar streets transformed by violence and anger. Some filmed the chaos, others simply stared in disbelief, unable to look away. The burning cars weren't just destruction, they were a message. The people would not be ignored. Each fire lit up the night with a warning, a demand for change echoing through the smoke. The world watched as Los Angeles, city of dreams, became a nightmare. News channels broadcast the chaos live, and millions around the globe held their breath, wondering what would happen next. The violence spread, news alerts chronicling fires, clashes, and arrests. Social media feeds filled with images of destruction, and the city's pain became everyone's story. For some, it was a shocking spectacle, for others, a terrifying reality. Families huddled together hoping for safety while others braved the streets, searching for loved ones or answers. The question echoed everywhere: how did it come to this? As dawn broke over the battered city, the scars of the night remained, and the search for answers had only just begun. Every great fire starts with a single spark. In LA, that spark was a wave of federal immigration raids. Rumors turned to reality, and fear swept through immigrant communities. The raids targeted not just criminals but families and longtime residents, igniting outrage. Los Angeles, a city built by immigrants, saw this as a violation of its identity. Activists and neighbors mobilized, demanding dignity and respect. Protests began in the suburb of Paramount, where the threat felt most immediate. Families gathered in peaceful defiance, but as night fell, tension turned to rage. Clashes with law enforcement erupted, signaling a much larger storm to come. This wasn't just about immigration. It was a battle for the soul of the city. The spark of fear became a roar of defiance, spreading from the suburbs to the heart of LA. The anger from Paramount surged into downtown LA. Thousands marched past City Hall and the federal courthouse, their chants echoing off the skyscrapers. Protesters shut down the 101 freeway, creating a powerful image of disruption. The California Highway Patrol moved in, and confrontations escalated. The LAPD declared an unlawful assembly, ordering dispersal, but few left. Vandalism and clashes intensified as police used tear gas and projectiles to break up crowds. The city was caught in a violent cycle, with each side feeling justified. Anti-ICE graffiti and burning Waymo vehicles became symbols of rage. City officials condemned the destruction, but for some, it was a desperate cry for attention. The protest had become a riot, and city authorities felt control slipping away. The world watched as LA teetered on the edge. The next move would shock the nation. As Los Angeles reached its breaking point, the Trump administration made a stunning and controversial move that would reverberate across the nation. In a decision that bypassed state authorities, federalized troops, 4,000 National Guard and 700 active-duty Marines, were deployed directly to the city. The scale and speed of the operation shocked many, as convoys of military vehicles streamed into Los Angeles almost overnight. Humvees and armored vehicles rumbled through the heart of downtown, their presence impossible to ignore. Soldiers fanned out, taking up positions on street corners and rooftops, transforming familiar neighborhoods into militarized zones. The sight of Marines in full combat gear, trained for battlefields abroad, sent a chilling message to the public. This was not just crowd control, but a show of overwhelming force. Fear and tension spiked as residents peered from their windows, watching soldiers patrol the streets below. For many, the city they knew felt suddenly foreign and uncertain. Washington's justification was uncompromising. Officials warned that even more troops could be sent if violence continued, signaling a readiness to escalate further. The move was seen by many as a provocation, a direct assertion of federal power over local authorities, and a challenge to the state's autonomy. For the first time since the 1992 riots, active duty troops were used to quell civil unrest in Los Angeles. But this time, the deployment came without the state's request or consent, raising serious legal and political questions. The crisis quickly escalated into a constitutional showdown, state versus federal authority, with both sides digging in and the nation watching closely. Caught in the middle were the people of Los Angeles, their daily lives upended and their city transformed overnight into a tense, uncertain battleground. The stakes had never been higher, and the sense of anxiety was palpable in every corner of the city. As the world watched, the nation held its breath, uncertain of what would come next. The federal troop deployment ignited a political and legal firestorm. California's leaders, led by Governor Newsom, condemned the move as a violation of state sovereignty. The state filed a lawsuit to block the troops, setting up a historic legal battle. Newsom and Trump traded public barbs, each accusing the other of lies and escalation. LA Mayor Karen Bass and other Democrats called the federal presence a dangerous overreach. Local law enforcement, caught in the middle, refused to assist with immigration enforcement, but pledged to stop violence. Conflicting orders from state, local, and federal authorities created chaos on the ground. The standoff was no longer just political, it was playing out in the streets. The city's response fractured, and the crisis deepened. The nation watched as the limits of power were tested. For downtown LA's residents, life ground to a halt. A strict curfew emptied the streets, nightlife vanished, and military vehicles patrolled the silence. Skyscrapers stood dark, their lobbies locked down. Home became both shelter and prison as people watched the conflict unfold outside. Public transit was shut down, bus routes rerouted, and checkpoints clogged the streets. Moving through the city became a stressful ordeal, reinforcing the sense of occupation. Fear was everywhere, of violence, of soldiers, of the unknown. "It doesn't feel like my city anymore," one resident said. Businesses shuttered, economic life stopped, and the vibrant street culture disappeared. The crisis was not just political, it was an economic disaster. The scars would last long after the fires were out. Downtown LA was changed, perhaps forever. The crisis in Los Angeles was more than a local disaster. It was a warning for America, a signal that the fractures within our society can no longer be ignored. What happened here was not just a moment of chaos, but a reflection of deeper issues simmering beneath the surface of our nation. The city's turmoil revealed how quickly political divisions can erupt into open conflict, turning neighbors against each other and transforming city streets into battlegrounds. The anger and frustration that boiled over in Los Angeles could easily ignite elsewhere if left unaddressed. Deploying Marines for civil unrest set a dangerous precedent, blurring the line between policing and military action. The presence of armed forces in American neighborhoods raised urgent questions about the balance between security and civil liberties. Profound constitutional questions were raised about presidential authority and states' rights. The nation was forced to confront the limits of executive power and the responsibilities of local governments in times of crisis. For Angelenos, trust in government and neighbors was shattered. The sense of community that once held neighborhoods together was replaced by suspicion and fear, leaving many to wonder if things would ever return to normal. Rebuilding that trust is now the city's greatest challenge. It will require honest conversations, accountability from leaders, and a willingness from residents to come together despite their differences. The physical damage can be repaired, but the psychological wounds run deep. The trauma of these events lingers in the minds of those who lived through them, shaping how they see their city and their country. LA's struggle to heal will be a lesson for other cities facing similar tensions. The path forward will not be easy, but it offers a chance to address the root causes of division and build a more resilient community. The sight of American soldiers confronting American citizens should alarm us all. It is a stark reminder of what is at stake when dialogue breaks down and force takes its place. The need for dialogue and de-escalation has never been more urgent. Only by listening to one another and working together can we hope to prevent future crises. The fire in LA is out, but the embers remain. A warning of what could come if we fail to learn. The nation must take heed, for the lessons of Los Angeles are lessons for us all.